So now we're doing a collective constellation for humanity, for humankind. And the problem and the issue is COVID-19 disease and pressure to be vaccinated. And just to see that, we have here to name all those positions. Here is humanity, and here is like one of the problems is COVID-19 disease, coronavirus, SARS-CoV-2, and one of the problems and symptoms also pressure to be vaccinated and separation in society. And we will see that later on too. And there is one real problem, the real problem in the middle. And then we talked about what would be our aim to work towards with this collective constellation. And there is healing here in the middle. And there is good health next to humanity. There is truth. Okay, and then we have corona vaccination as like the pool, all the vaccinations in one pool. And then we have all the vaccines here. Sinovac vaccination, BioNTech, Pfizer, AstraZeneca, vaccination Johnson & Johnson, Sputnik vaccine, the vaccine from Moderna, and here we have the vaccine from Sinopharm. Okay, these are our starting positions. And so we start now, and I always start with the client, and this is now humanity. And then we see humanity. Getting very narrow together, like feet very narrow here, like feeling very insecure in the midst of all that. Feeling very insecure, like standing on a little part of earth, and all the other areas are uncertain. You cannot step on it. It's really, you have to hold yourself to here. And there is, of course, some fear. So I think we also will add fear. It is already part of that. And humanity feels it, fear. I put it right in front of humanity. And I go there right away. Fear. Okay, fear is here in the midst of all that powerful everywhere. It is filling all of that. It is not a surprise. Constellations show everything. Of course, they show also the things we already know. We know this, the fear, but this is now, even though it is really everywhere. And the constellations show that what we know, and they show this what we don't know, which is in the unconscious part of also the society, unconscious in the collective also. So fear is everywhere. Okay. Now I go to coronavirus. And coronavirus is like somebody in front of the mirror and dressing really nice, making sure that it's nice and presentable. Before you go out, or before you go on stage or something like this. Now the COVID-19 disease It is painful here in the stomach area. Really pain coming. It's showing what it is. It's just really the feeling of getting really sick there. So it is disease, it's a sickness. It is showing the symptoms, some of the symptoms at least. So it is there. Now there is separation in society, which is also a symptom. The group wanted that, have that separation in society. Yeah, it's there, and it has a part here and a part there. So it shows what it does. It separates two sides. Okay, I go to good health. Good health is suffering. Now I go to corona vaccination, the pool. And it's doing the same thing like the virus did, just to make sure everything is in order in front of the mirror before you go out on stage. Yes. Same thing. This is interesting. It's the same thing. Like you would go out on stage or on a TV program, you have to really, or maybe also out in the public, and you have to be really certain that you look good. Okay, so now I go to let's go to the vaccines now. So this is Sinovac vaccine. Just standing there. Has some connection to good health and healing, but well, not much. Here's BioNTech Pfizer. Well, BioNTech Pfizer is hitting on top of good health, though it is aggressive towards good health. Just basically doing the opposite of what it should do. AstraZeneca, it's also hitting on good health, really aggressively hitting on top of good health. Vaccination Johnson & Johnson, also on good health, aggressively there. So those three are not healthy, they are hitting aggressively. Now this is Sputnik. Loaded with aggression. Loaded with aggression. The vaccine from Moderna, not doing much. Not doing much. Not even having a connection to healing or whatever. Not doing much. So Sinopharm vaccine. Very aggressive towards healing. So now we have that. Now I go to healing in the middle here. Healing is very suspicious towards all the vaccines, especially to those here. Very suspicious. Doesn't like any of it, any of it. Okay, so now we have safety as an aim, safety. There is no safety, it's going down. There is no safety here. And we have truth, to find truth as an aim. This is here, truth. And truth is looking at this vaccine, Sinovac, and shaking its head. It's looking at BioNTech Pfizer, shaking its head. It's looking to the next one, AstraZeneca, shaking its head. It's looking to the next one, Johnson & Johnson, shaking its head. It's looking to Sputnik vaccine, and it's really fighting this. It's the fist, trying to push that back. Then it's looking to the next one, and this is the vaccine of Moderna, shaking its head. And then it looks at the last one here, which we have here, and this is Sinopharm vaccine, shaking its head. So the truth shakes its head to all of them, says like, no, this is truth. And it's really fighting and pushing back Sputnik. Okay, now we have another position here, and this is the real problem. And there's obviously a real problem, but the real problem, whatever it is, it's pretty much relaxed. Pretty much relaxed. It's just standing there. Okay. It doesn't connect to anybody of here, the other positions. It's more on the higher sphere here. So there is a real problem. And it's connecting to somewhat higher sphere around this, but not to anything here specifically. And there we have another thing here, and this is surprises. And surprises is pointing back to the background over there. The surprises are pointing over there. And in this constellation, we still don't have the messages of the symptoms. I normally bring those in the beginning, but there were several symptoms. So I bring some of the messages of the symptoms. And one was symptoms or problems, and one was COVID-19 disease. So I bring a message of COVID-19 disease, because the messages often bring some information of the background. Message of COVID-19 disease, and also a message of coronavirus, SARS-CoV-2. So the only information so far to something outside of this in the background is coming from surprises. Because within this system, what we have here, all those, if there would be not more to this, we would not be able to understand how could we go to more healing. It's just not understandable here. It is, we need more, to see more of the connections of all of this. So I bring message of COVID-19, behind COVID-19 disease, and message of coronavirus SARS-CoV-2. I go to the message of coronavirus SARS-CoV-2. And this is, the message of the virus is also pointing back to the background. You know, that nothing is there in the constellation, no position defined, but energetically, there is somebody or something over there connected to the virus here. And message of COVID-19 disease is also seeing basically many people over there. It's not only one person or one thing, it's several. And so there is another separation of society is also one symptom, an appearance. So this could also have a message of separation in society. I put it in the background of separation in society. And the message also sees people, things over there in the background of. So here you can see how important it is to, in constellation, personal constellations, and also in symptom constellations, and also here in collective constellations, to really also bring the messages of the symptoms, because they tell us more than the symptom or the problem. So we have something in the background. And our client is humanity, so in the background of humanity. What could that be? Is there any thoughts in the group?
Yes. The circumstantial evidence of leak, and the other one is whether it was natural, you know, animal to human cross.
What was the first one? I didn't get it acoustically.
There is now circumstantial evidence of a lab leak.
Okay, you mean the origin of the virus. Okay, so you say it could come from a laboratory, or it could be from animals. So this is, okay, well, this is an open question. We could bring that here. The origin of the coronavirus, SARS-CoV-2. Maybe this is leading to somewhere. So origin, a real origin of virus SARS-CoV-2. Then we have the two possibilities from a man-made in laboratory, man-made in laboratory. Then we have origin in animals plus transfer. We don't know whether those messages all mean this, but we still bring that now. So I bring it here on the side. So this origin of SARS, the real origin of virus SARS-CoV-2, and then we have man-made in laboratory, and we have origin in animals with transfer to humans. Man-made in laboratory. Yeah, there's a connection, man-made a direct connection to the virus. There is a connection. And then here is origin in animals and transfer to humans. It breaks down. So the answer is already here. And the real origin of the virus is connecting to the laboratory, and then it's still searching for somebody else. So it is man-made in laboratory, and there is somebody else connected to that. So this is not the full answer. It could be still in laboratory, and then it was like an accident, a leak, an accidental leak. Bring this accidental leak, or it could be designed by will and set free. These are the two possibilities. So this is designed by will and voluntarily released. And I bring this designed by will and voluntarily released on the right side of man-made in laboratory, and I bring accidental leak on the other side. And I go to accidental leak, and this breaks down. And I go to designed by will and voluntarily released. Standing there would not talk, but it's there. And it agrees to this. So this is now an insight. And this is no opinion here. In constellations, you always see the truth. This is a constellation work is a direct link to the informational field, and you find the truths there. So this is also new to me, not as a possibility, but that it is showing in a constellation. Nobody asked it so far. In a constellation. And so we know it now. It was designed by will and released by will. But who would do something like that? I mean, so many people died, and humanity is in fear. And there's a pressure to be vaccinated with vaccinations, which are not good for health. None of them. Some of them are really dangerous. And one or two are just doing not so much. But who would do something like that? We don't know. I don't know. Anybody an idea?
Actually, there are a few candidates, but I forget their names because the funding was arranged from the US, but then it was transferred to Wuhan.
Yeah, but we are talking not about nations. This is man-made. No, somebody did it. I mean, these are, this are human beings doing this. And this is not, a nation is just, what is a nation? It is, somebody did it.
Follow the money.
Yeah, but it's still, who is it? But somebody did it. I mean, there is somebody. So, well, before I do that, I check with surprises to see whether this is what they meant, surprises. But there is still somebody else over there. And the message of the COVID-19 disease is now connected to safety with aggression. So that safety is somehow, what is safety? Well, it's on the floor. So the message of COVID-19 says safety is attacked. And message of coronavirus here. Yes, searching for somebody over there. So it is clearly, this is an attack on humanity. I bring this as a position, attack on humanity. Attack on humanity. And to see whether it connects to this here. Just bring it in the background here and then we see what it does. Attack on humanity. Very aggressive, like, life-threatening, mean aggression. And this kind of, we saw this kind of negative energy in another collective constellation today already, but this is the same kind, even more aggressive, in the potential. Who is doing something like that? We are all attacked, and this is a shock. I mean, this insight is a shock. But who is doing something like this? And obviously then, it is very well planned. This is not something which somebody decided today and did tomorrow.
Let's try and put some individuals. Are you trying to say that? Or organizations?
Yes, but we still have to have some names and ideas. And then we see, we don't bring any idea, but we just collect ideas.
WHO?
WHO, who is that?
World Health Organization.
Yes, this is an organization. I'm more interested in individuals. Who is doing that?
Gates Foundation.
Or a group.
Gates built the Gates Foundation.
The Gates Foundation.
Companies.
Okay. Before we go to this, before we go to really names and persons, because then we can only guess, and then let's stay a little bit more on the big picture, a little bit longer. This is attack on humanity, and you saw how aggressive this is. So there is negative energy connected to it. This is not, it's like not human. This is an aggression which is, it's like a demon. It's bigger than one human can be. It feels like bigger. It could still be wrong, but so I bring negative energy. And I put this in the background of attack on humanity. It does that, negative energy. It's different than the attack on humanity. I go back to attack on humanity. Ah! So there is more than just negative energy. There is more. There is more. I bring one position and I call it a demon. And if there's no demon here involved at all, the constellation will tell us. And by the way, you feel safe. You are safe here. If we work with this, we this is safe for you, even that this is a lot of energy here. So this is now a demon. This is just a try. Breaks down. This is no demon involved. Okay. We had some names. We take the World Health Organization as an organization. And it's somehow linked to the attack on humanity. It doesn't have much energy, but it's linked to the attack. I go to the attack, and the attack just, takes that as part of all that. So it's part of that, but it's not a driving force. There were other names, Leon, you had a suggestion?
Or companies, like companies.
Companies, Gates Foundation.
Bill Gates Foundation. Okay, this is an organization. I put it in the background of World Health Organization, Bill Gates Foundation. And it goes back from the attack on humanity. All the way. It goes back and tries even to protect itself from it.
And big companies like the pharmaceutical companies.
Pharmaceutical companies. Bring them here. Well, they bring all those vaccines and they're good with the situation. But they don't cause this attack. They make profit with this. I go back to the attack. It's still, we don't, whoever, I bring now, before we just try more and more, I bring the attacker, the one who attacks. It could be male, female, it could be a group, we don't know, but somebody does that. This is not just happening by itself. And even if you don't know who that is, but somebody like this does exist. The attacker, male or female, we are not clear on this. The attacker, and I put it a little bit more in the background and see whether there is something like this and what he or she does. Very relaxed. This one is there. It's very relaxed in the background. It just smiles about healing. So the attacker is there and it's very, very relaxed feeling in a safe place. And having, obviously, a plan. This is like part of a plan. It is like, this plan is rolling out, and the one who is the attacker is very relaxed. And this is like a first phase, like a first thing, and it's still on coming and coming, and very relaxed, very well organized. So there is, we don't know who that is, but there is obviously something like a plan. I bring the plan. And if there would be no plan, the constellation will tell us the plan. Well, there is a plan, and it's really like connecting to the whole big circle, including everything. And of course, that's a secret plan. So there's a secret to that. I bring the secret. Here's the secret. And the secret is pointing to humanity. Like on a target. I go to humanity. Pardon?
Is it a plan to take control of humanity?
I don't know.
Power.
I don't know, but it is the secret is pointing at. Could be, but still, I go to humanity. Well, I don't know. I don't know. So this is also mirroring the truth. Humanity doesn't know. There's no knowledge about this right now. I bring the position control, whether it's control and power over. Control and power over. Control. No, it's going down. It's not that. Power over. It's also going down. It's not that. There's something else.
What's about slavery?
Well, this would be also power over in the extreme form. Slavery. Also no. So we have to somehow stop just guessing. We need to follow the thing here in the constellation. And it's a secret. It's a high secret. I just bring one position, and it's depopulation, just to make sure it's not depopulation. Because if it's depopulation, it's also good to know. Depopulation.
Excuse me, Karl-Heinz, do you mean by that a plan for depopulation, or do you mean like some natural?
No, not. This is here not natural. This is all man-made. Depopulation as an issue, and then we see where they connect. And if it's not connected, you know, the constellation tells us depopulation. It's connected to humanity. Yeah. It's connected to humanity. And really pressing it. So there is depopulation, and it's not defined as man-made population right now, it's just depopulation. So let's do that step by step. But depopulation is there, and it's pressing humanity with two fists. I go to humanity now when this comes, and it's now in total fear. And I go to the secret. Where's the secret here? No, the secret says no. And the attacker doesn't care about this. So I just put, now to be clear on this, next another thing is man-made depopulation. The secret says no, but here man-made depopulation. And it breaks down. So this is not meant, it is not man-made depopulation. But there is depopulation somehow as a threat to humanity. But it is not from there. Okay, so we still don't know.
How about alien, an alien extraterrestrial? You were looking up at some point. Yeah,
we had this in the COVID-19 constellation last year in May 2020. We have to now, because there is another time, and it could be we could go there, but I always need something in the constellation to tell me to go there. Otherwise, I'm just following a concept. But this is, of course, it's all open. We don't know what it is right now. Okay, we try to get something. Here's the message of the coronavirus. Looking at all this. Looking at all this. And then still searching for somebody or something. So we don't see it all right now. It's still a sort of mystery. But what we know is there is a plan, there is a secret, there is somebody in the back who is the attacker. And now here's the message of COVID-19 disease. Well, and this one doesn't know anything right now. Here's the message of separation in society. Don't know what's here. There is also, again, written on the wall, something about a healthy heart. The message of separation of society was looking at this writing on the wall. Here's the pressure to be vaccinated. I think it was not there so far. Pressure to be vaccinated. It's everywhere. It's like this. The real problem, well, I'm just here. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. The truth. The truth sees more people next to the attacker. More. Well, you know, normally something, also collective problems and issues, they have their start somewhere. And normally, it is an unresolved trauma. I don't see it here, but if you don't see it, it does not mean that it's not there. So maybe there is an initial trauma causing all this. We know what it is now. It is an attack on humanity. There is an attacker in the background who has a secret plan. That's what we know. And the SARS-CoV virus, SARS-CoV-2, is designed by will and voluntarily released as part of their plan. Now, why is that? What happened? You know, what happened in the background to cause something like that? To bring somebody to do something like this? This is just also a try. So I bring initial collective trauma in the background of all this. And then we see, is there one or not? For now, it's very hidden to the extent that it's a mystery. Okay, initial collective trauma in the background of all that. And I do bring it in the very background here, and then we see initial trauma, collective trauma. I go there. And this trauma lays on the floor, but then it tries to get up. And this is obviously, you know, also the energy of a person or a being trying to get up but cannot. So there is an initial trauma. Otherwise it will go away or not do anything. And we don't know who is involved with that, but I just try, knowing that sometimes already changes the energy. I go to the attacker. He was very calm. Now he turns around. It suffers, full of grief towards that. That means in the background of this attacker, in his personal or maybe collective background, was an initial trauma. And if this appears, he loses all his calmness, turns around, and cries. And now I go to the attack on humanity. It is transformed from aggression, like maximum aggression, towards grief. I go to the negative energy It's also grief. I go to the secret. Where is it? Here, the secret. Oh, I don't know. The secret doesn't, it's only a secret that doesn't know. The plan goes down, goes down. That means the plan is losing energy, which is obviously good. Goes down all the way and takes the secret to it, covers the secret, sleeps or dies away. So the plan, whatever it was, is energetically going away by us knowing there is an initial trauma in the background of the attacker. I go to the message of COVID virus, SARS-CoV-2. Doesn't know anything. I go to SARS-CoV-2, the virus, now. No, without any energy, doesn't know what to do, can't even think or talk even. The COVID-19 disease, and remember in the beginning it was full of heavy symptoms when they went there. COVID-19 disease. It's going down. It's going down, which is of course a healing movement. It's going down, dying away. So this might even surprise you that us knowing would do that, but it does do that. This is not fake, this is really happening now. Safety, still burdened, but stronger than before. Pressure to be vaccinated, whoa, still up. This didn't change. Separation in society, it's not so active anymore. It has two parts before, now it does that. So this has changed. And humanity doesn't know, still burdened. So there is some change, but not everything is changing. The corona vaccination is weak now. The real problem is looking to the initial trauma. So there is a real problem still, it's not so strong, but it's connected to the initial trauma. And truth, also now showing, truth is showing now despair and grief. So there is despair and grief, not only over there, it's also somehow connected to what we see here. And healing, still burdened. So we're not done, we are still on our way. So it probably would be good to know what kind of trauma that was. And so we do one more step. Now, collective trauma like this, who then comes and start something like that, an attack on humanity. Oh, let me go to attack of me. I did was already, but a trauma, a collective trauma, who could start an attack on humanity like this, also has to have victims and perpetrators. This is a repetition. So I bring victims of the initial collective trauma, 3 of them. And you already see that I do this also like the same pattern. I bring 3 of the victims, and then I bring 3 of possible perpetrators. Perpetrator 1. Perpetrator 2. Perpetrator 3. And the only reason we go back and try to find out more about this initial trauma is that there is still unresolved things here in the field where we work around humanity. So, victim 1, 2, and 3. Oh. For some reason, I had man-made depopulation here. It just went with me. So this is perpetrator 1, perpetrator 2, perpetrator 3. I go to one of the victims. This one is living and on the floor like somebody captured or enslaved. Victim 2 also. Yeah, same posture, like captured and enslaved. Victim 3 also. So obviously the victims of this trauma were enslaved people, captured and enslaved. And I go to the perpetrator. Yeah, they are hitting on them. The second one also. Third one also. I go to a fourth one without a paper. Yeah, so I also need the higher hierarchy perpetrators to be marked with papers because they might be important. So again, perpetrator 4, perpetrator 5, perpetrator 6. Four, perpetrator 5, perpetrator 6. Go to perpetrator 4. He steps back. Yeah, bringing in more people here from both sides. Perpetrator 5, still holding, the whole scene here together from the background. Perpetrator 6. Yeah, somebody who's holding it, like spiritually here somehow. Enslaved people. I go to humanity now, and this gets clear. They are in grief now, so it's part of ancient religion, ancient humanity involved. I bring the ancestors of humanity, 3 of them, to see whether they are involved. Ancestors of humanity. Also 3 ancestors of humanity. 2 and ancestors of humanity, 3. Of course, for many. And I bring them somehow in between those, or on the side. So, ancestors of humanity, 1, 2, 3. So, humanity, the meaning humanity of nowadays. We have to maybe make this clear. Of course, this was meant of nowadays. This is our client. We do this for humanity of present times. So to differentiate it from earlier human beings. So humanity of present times. So it doesn't change, so it really, this is it. So now I go to the ancestors, earlier living ancestors of humanity. Chained down, captured, enslaved. Second one also. Captured, enslaved. Third one also. Captured, enslaved. And then I go back to those victims here. They're even more down and captured. So this is not only an early collective trauma, like in the background of this attacker, it is also an early collective trauma of mankind. Enslavement, early enslavement. Early means initial to what we see here, the attack on humanity with this virus. Now, who were the perpetrators? Is the next question. Who were the enslavers, the slave hunters, the attackers there? Who was it? So I bring the origin of the perpetrators. If they enslaved the ancestors of humanity, of mankind, we don't know anything about the origin of the perpetrators. I bring the origin of the perpetrators. And it's pointing to the sky. So this is the same picture which we had in the coronavirus collective constellation on the 3rd of May 2020, already online, organized by Amy from Washington, DC. This is pointing to the sky, extraterrestrial origin. I bring a foreign planet. And to see whether this gesture to the sky means exactly that. It was the same thing in this constellation last year, but this is open. I always learn from the very moment in the constellation. Foreign planet. And there is a foreign planet, and this foreign planet carries grief and despair. Of course, these are feelings from creatures, say or the inhabitants there. But this is, so somebody was, maybe there were also victims on the planet there. Something happened. So I bring the trauma on the foreign planet. Trauma on foreign planet. If you see despair and grief in a constellation, there has to be a reason for that. It's normally, of course, trauma. Maybe I give you more zoom with this. It's in the very background. Okay. Okay, so here's the foreign planet, and this is possible trauma on foreign planet. The trauma goes down. There's something dramatic happening there. Grief. So, could be natural disaster, could be man-made trauma. If there's man-made trauma or creature-made trauma, then you have victims and perpetrators. So I take those papers with me so I don't have to walk back and forth. So let's just bring natural disaster as a position. Natural disaster breaks down. It was not natural disaster. So I bring 3 victims, for maybe more, of course, always more. Victims on the foreign planet. One, two, three. One victim on the foreign planet. I breathe through a mask. Like oxygen mask or something, but there is almost no air or oxygen coming through. So they don't have enough oxygen. They die on having no oxygen, and the masks tried to help them, or they tried to do it. But the feeling is that the oxygen was less and less. The third one. Okay, so then if you know this, all the masks you see around here are remembering us to the mask they had to wear, to maybe get a little bit of oxygen and try to stay alive. I bring oxygen there just to make sure that's not just a thought, but it looks like this oxygen. Yeah, it goes down. So this planet had a problem with oxygen. They ran out of oxygen. Now I bring perpetrators. Maybe they were perpetrators. If they are victims and it was not natural disaster, some perpetrator on the foreign planet. Perpetrator on the foreign planet. 3, 4. Of course, again, much more. And we see whether they are perpetrators on the foreign planet. Always learn from the constellation. I go to the perpetrator 1 on foreign planet. They're looking down to those victims. Supreme. Well, over there, I blink, because this one is looking over there, I blink planet Earth. Planet Earth. Over here. I go to planet Earth. Planet Earth is breathing freely over there. And here's perpetrator 1 again, throwing an eye on planet Earth. Feeling supreme. The second perpetrator there. Yeah, they stand together and say, let's go. Perpetrator 3 also. So this is the same picture that I already know from last year, and it's still there, and it's not known in our societies till yet. Not many people learned about it, so you still have that, and you have all the consequences there already also still there. And the picture is that this foreign planet ran out of oxygen. And then they were enslaved or minorities, and they were the rulers. And they didn't give the rest of the oxygen to them. They had very less oxygen, and then they died and suffered. And the supreme class, they managed to leave and go to planet Earth. And then they're arriving there, they enslaved the humans, our ancestors, our real ancestors. This was the initial trauma in the background. And now I go to truth here. Truth says yes, without looking at it. Truth says yes. Humanity of present times, still in grief. Fear is already on the foreign planet and before. So fear has a long history even on other planets before it came through those extraterrestrials on here, this kind of fear to the Earth. I go to the attacker now. In grief and connected to those victims, And there is somehow a difference between the ancestors of humanity here being captured and enslaved within this position, and those victims who are on the floor and captured there. And the attacker is more attracted to them. Well, there is one thing. This is the attacker of nowadays, attack on humanity. So there has to have somebody be in between him or her and those initial trauma. I don't know whether it's really important, but there is somebody in between. So I bring ancestors of the attacker. I don't know where this will lead us.
Ancestors or descendants?
Pardon?
Ancestors, the people who come before or the people who come after?
We don't know yet.
Ah.
Ancestors of the attacker. Also in grief. Just involved in this. And for some reason, with perpetrators, I brought the paper of man-made depopulation in here. It's here again. So man-made, this was like a mistake. I didn't want it, but it's here now. And it's connecting to those victims on the floor. So of man-made, or I don't know how to call the extraterrestrials, if they are like men or not. Man is for human beings, basically. So I rearrange, or I put a next one there. So extraterrestrial made depopulation on Earth. I put it next to man-made depopulation. Extraterrestrial made depopulation. Yeah, and this connects to those victims. And man-made depopulation collapses. So obviously they tried to depopulate the Earth, wanting to have the planet Earth for them. And they needed, obviously, some slaves, so they enslaved others. Killed, like a genocide thing, and others were enslaved. And the enslaved people are the ancestors of nowadays humanity. I think we have that now, and the attacker, whoever that is, well, now looks back. And all the energy towards an attack left him or her when his or her ancestor and people come. So this is the picture now, and I just check around here before we go to maybe the more healing, the healing part. Okay. Good. Check with humanity, present times. A little calmer, but still weak. Healing, still weak. The real problem goes down now, which is good. Truth. somehow growing, but standing like on a funeral. The coronavirus, SARS-CoV-2, going down, losing energy, which is also healing. COVID-19 is also going down. Message of SARS-CoV-2 is also going down. That means we understood the message. Message of COVID-19 also is going down, which is always good. Messages which are brought and taken and the consequences already drawn and the insights there, have the feeling they can go away. Their job is done. They go to the floor, which is good for us because then we know we really understood it. Message of separation also. Separation society is looking back to the ancestors of humanity. So there was a separation. They separated the ones they wanted to kill and depopulate, and they separated the other ones who they thought they would need for work and slavery. This connects there. Okay, fear is with them. Fear is already there. Okay, good health is still down. So now I think this is the situation where we could start to work with shamanic healing powers. Do you want to? Do you agree, or do you want to have some other positions here? If you agree, please just give me a thumb. Okay. So I'm just explaining that again for the people who will see the recording later on, because you already know about healing voices. I call that healing voices, and this you can. We work with shamanic healing powers now, and they are like not human. But they're everywhere. They are stronger than human healing powers, and they can and also are willing to help us often. But they need, obviously, a human being who is willing and able to be a channel for them. And I will do this, so I will go into the constellation and define this position as the position of the healers. Then I step into this position without the paper. I don't need this because they will walk around. And then as a representative of the healers, I will invite those healing powers to heal in those different layers of this system, which we see here in the constellation. And then if they are active, then they are active through me. That means I'm lending them my body for a few minutes for gestures, because it goes through gestures. And I lend them my voice because it goes through sounds and voices. And even sometimes sentences or words from ancient languages, which we don't understand on the brain level, but we do understand on the heart level. Now here, everybody has to know, this is perpetrator-victim fields, so aggression and negative energy is somewhere involved. And if those shamanic healing powers work with them, for a while, they get really aggressive and even mean aggressive. So if you wouldn't be prepared, but I prepare you right now, then you could get, if you wouldn't be prepared, you could get anxious hearing that, but you don't have to. You're on the safe side. This is true for the group here, and this is also true for all the people who will watch this recording later on, even after years. And your space is also safe, and I'm standing for that. So don't get afraid, you're safe. And after a while, those healing voices will get softer anyways, and they might even do a singing or a melody, and they might also come here to the screen and work with the group, or also, even with you seeing this recording later on. So if you open up for this, you might have healing sensations in your body or your soul, or even spirit opening up. If you just want to witness that and see that, just close that down and so just witness that, and so nothing happens on your side. But if you open up, it could be that they also work with you in a healing way. So let's start from here. Don't get afraid and don't wonder about anything. This is shamanic healing. Anything can happen now, but remember you are safe. And let all your feelings flow if you want. And let's start from here. Let's just put the volume a little bit down in case it gets loud. Okay, ba. What is a yawa? Ikabusaya wayete say yebata. Ah, yes, I want to say, how yes, a cure. Habo saya wasaya wasikabahe. Esa wata yebahe to. Ayabahe. Oh, yeah, that's a why is a kia wasi a wa. Oh, samaha ye wa ye toya wa he. I come. Oh, oh, my yeah, come on, yeah. Oh, yeah, why, yeah. Oh, yeah, why, yeah. Oh, yeah, why, yeah. Oh, Kawasaya. Yatamaya, what is someone then Namahaya Wachiaha? Ah, yes, a tia. Oh, yeah, what ya wa? What ya was a was? Yeah, Tabatabata, was seen. Oh, yeah, Baha, yes, a war, yes, a behavior. Tia Wataya Baha, Yamatoya. Oh, yeah, why, yeah. Unlimited, why, yeah. Abatia Wakaye say, eh, why, yeah, Kawa. Oh, yeah, what a war, yeah. Oh, yeah, what cheese or war, oh, yeah, oh, yeah. Ikyo was your ma, yeah. Oh, yeah, so cute. Yeah, boy, yes, oh, boy, yes, I'll tell you. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, why? Yes, I want. I want you, I want you. Oh, yeah, boy, yes, I want you. Oh, boy, yes, I want you. Oh, yeah, boy, yeah, what you say, boy, yeah, mama, yeah, what, oh, Samahe, Esete, Zamo. Ziyavo tesahe isavote yesavaha samahe sehi samaye tesaya waye kya samaye. Oh, yes, Emakya. Oh, Sayamate, yes, I am Nayanamane. Oh, yeah, what's up? Oh, is that what you say? I was a see. Oh, because I was a see. Oh, yeah, but say, boy, yes, boy, yes, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, 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 oh. Moni mana 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 mo heve hase yabo wose kewa hitabo chisa yewa te yawa he te ose te ye sabo e isa ya so te sabo te yi o se ya te se te yi o se ye ma yo Oye se tazavo. Asaye taye. Esavo yesahete. Oye sehen. Desi. Asaye setoi. Osaye sa. Toye saye setevi. O te ya te ye. O se ta. O se te machin. Yekye sahe. Oye saham. Om mi sa. O se ma he ha ho he ha ho he ha ho he ha ho he. O te ya wo se yin. Yamayata sata wasama kyoshime itaya he waiso tomi te yese yesa eze yese tosa he ya wo te sa he ti ye wo tu was Isaia he te isa toye he yesaye vita seye he ya wo te ye he mo yesa yesa ho se ti sa wo to hey ya wo sa hey ya wo te ya ye te ya wo sa ho time wo sa hey ho yi sa ta ya wo te se ve yi so ta. O sa ke sa te se he ya bo yi si ya sa ya he ya wo ti ya wo he ya wo ti ya sa he ya te se ve ya he ya to ya wo to se ya he ya ve te ya wo te ya wo ti ya sa he ya ke se ve he ya ho ye se ya he ya ve he ya wo chao ya wo ti ya sa ho me ha ho me te ya ha ha, ha, vai, vai, tama, hepkia, ha, 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 haba, hawa, Okay, now I go through the constellation to the most important positions so that we see whether something is changed through the healing and what, so that we just know. And then I come back and then we talk in the group about it. Okay, I go back all the way and You might see that a little bit more better if I do it like this. Okay, here, obviously, the perpetrator is on the foreign planet. I go this one to this one, and this one is disempowered on the floor, gone and dead. The second one also disempowered, the floor, gone. This one is also gone. So the perpetrators on the foreign planet are disempowered and gone, energetically out of the system. I go to the victims on the foreign planet. This is victim 1 on the foreign planet. Standing now very calm, like on a funeral. Sad, but standing. The victim 2, so no masks, no shortness of breath anymore. Like on a funeral. But the suffering is gone. Here's the foreign planet. Just very slowly twisting. Just twisting. Now this are the perpetrators on Earth, the foreign extraterrestrials, but here on Earth as perpetrators, they are also gone, all of them, disempowered, gone, disempowered, gone. All of them disempowered, gone, dead, and gone. Here's planet Earth. Breathing, and of course, including all the positions here in the constellation, all those things. And here is the victims here on this Earth. One is standing, still heavy, but still standing. Are already standing out of the trauma. But this one needs time. Slowly connecting to all the others, all the other victims coming up here. The second victim. Even connecting to the light. Calm. Third victim. Also very calm, connecting to the light above. And here are the ancestors of humanity who were captured and enslaved before. This one is standing, obviously free, turning around and looking at present times. Seeing fear there. Knowing this, feeling, connecting to fear there in the middle of that. Ancestor of humanity too. Connecting with this one. Yeah, and like they are slowly forming a community again, connecting to each other, but out of this enslavement. And slowly with time they get into a rhythm dance. And there are more, there are many, there are thousands of course. Now this is the attacker, which we call it attacker. Obviously he sees now what he did. He sees the whole mess. And he's shocked, or she, shocked. Like not being able to believe that he or she did that. Here's the plan. It's already gone. The secret, it's already gone. Negative energy is already gone, was already gone before. The attack on humanity is also gone. So we have now truth. And truth is looking at the beamer here on top of the room here, on the ceiling. Like truth needs to be projected on the wall so everybody can see it. We have here the World Health Organization. Well, it breaks down, it goes down. There's good health. Standing and breathing, still being a little exhausted, but standing and breathing freely. And here's the coronavirus, it's already broken down. COVID-19 was already on the floor now. Safety. Safety is strong now. Not all 100% strong, but growing and being like 80, 90% and growing safety. Pressure to be vaccinated goes down all the way. Separation in society also breaks down all the way. The real problem was already on the floor. Now healing has a connection to humanity of present times now and is obviously active. It's holding its healing is holding its hand over humanity of present times and already energetically working, doing something. There's fear going down. Slowly, needs time, but it goes down slowly. And it needs time that it goes away. This kind of fear. Oh, sorry. You didn't see all that, huh? Sorry about this. But you heard it. So fear goes down all the way, but it needs time to do this. Now here is humanity of present time. Still, now it looks back. Now it can look back and also sees the victims on the foreign planet. Sees what happened after that on Earth. Sees the disempowered perpetrators all on the floor. Sees the victims of depopulation. Sees the ancestors of humanity. Now they're finally coming together as a group or community. They still need time, but it's happening. So humanity is learning slowly about all these connections. This will take time step by step. But it's obviously now possible. And of course, this will only, parts of humanity will do that, and then the knowledge will spread over time. I go there again. Yeah. And after knowing this, humanity could open up for what's coming there. But this needs time. And healing is still needed. It is still needed to bring more energy back to humanity of present times. This is not happening from one day to the next. This takes time and needs more healing. But healing is working there. It's on its way. Okay, what else? Oh, here. The corona vaccination breaks down, and I don't think I have to, or should I? With the vaccines, Sinovac vaccination breaks down, BioNTech, Pfizer breaks down, AstraZeneca. The vaccines all break down, becoming meaningless. Johnson & Johnson vaccine, Sputnik vaccine. Oh, still wanting to do something aggressively. Oh, searching for. So they are not disempowered. Just don't take it. But they are still somehow on the search for being effective somewhere, very aggressive. So they are still there. Moderna, disempowered, would go away. Sinopharm vaccine also goes away. Okay. I think we have that now. Was there anything else we needed? So it's building up. So this now is on its way. Okay, now I think this is the end of this constellation.